Boom is right. Okay. For anyone playing along at home, welcome to the Talking Average Fitness podcast. As always, my name is Sam Burns, and I'm joined by probably the worst back squatter in the world, Mr. Kevin McCarthy. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Loving life, crushing things. Um, Trying very, very hard to resist eating all of the cookies that are sitting in the Tupperware container in my kitchen downstairs.
To see, talking to my co-coach Colin, he has a very specific and direct strategy when it comes to these things. He was like, it's in regards to Halloween candy is how it came up.
I'm
It's like,
so
you
excited
have
for
you
this.
buy 7,000 bags of Halloween candy, two kids come, you're like, well, shit, now we have 7,000 bags of Halloween candy to eat.
Yeah.
And he was like, here's the move. Because someone was like, oh, you spread it out over a long time. Colin's like, no, that's not how you would do that. He's like, what you do is you eat all 7,000 bags at once in one day, then it's done. And none of those calories carry over to the next day. It's like clean slate. Boom, done. There it
Yeah.
is.
I
Easy
mean,
day.
that's what
I'm
sleep is
like,
for.
so if you if you have a Tupperware of cookies, the answer is to eat the whole Tupperware today. Just call today a wash, done, and then you're off a clean slate the next day. The calories don't roll over. It doesn't carry over. So you're fine.
Call today a wash.
Yeah. And if you
Give up
you
on
know,
today.
we at just last little tidbit on nutrition before we dive into our topics. This was a funny story. We did there's a guy named Matt Della Valle. He works at NC Fit,
Sure, sure.
and he had come up. I don't know if he came up with it, but he like kind of coined the 0-1 rule for nutrition, where it's like 0 ingredients, 1 plate. And so we did a nutrition challenge here at Tilt over the fall, like kind of end of summer, beginning of fall region last year, where we did we called it the 0-1 challenge.
Right.
And the goal was to every meal, 0 ingredients, 1 plate. And when you say 0 ingredients, like what are the ingredients in chicken? It's just chicken. Like,
Right.
ask that question, whatever food is. Like if there's no extra ingredients, it just kind of is what it is,
Zero
then
additional
yeah,
ingredients.
exactly.
Yeah.
Then good to go. And so I remember, I forget what I was eating. I think it was like a protein bar of some sort. The Barbell is one,
Yeah.
which are basically a candy bar with protein. They're amazing. If you haven't tried them,
Absolutely.
phenomenal. So I was sitting there eating, and someone goes, does that fit into the 0-1 thing? I was like, there's no plate, so it doesn't count. Doesn't matter. I was like, there's no plate involved. Doesn't matter. I was like,
Okay. Okay.
so I have the cheats. If you want like next level life coaching, I'm on it. There's no
See,
plate, doesn't count.
this is
Calories consumed in transit don't exist. If there's no plate, it doesn't count. And then the extra peanut butter on the spoon is calorie free.
yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're welcome, fitness enthusiasts.
Yeah, that calories consumed in transit is my favorite rule to obey, especially when like I'm on a road trip.
Yep.
I will eat like a 12-year-old who was given too much money.
I mean, that's how you have to do a road trip, though, right? You're like, gas
Absolutely.
station snacks, give me all the bag, like Sour Patch Kids and
Yes.
bag of Skittles, all that fun stuff. Some beef jerky if you're feeling like got to keep my gains going.
Right.
Um, that's the way to do it.
My so if you are quick little sidebar before we get to our topic. We are the worst.
It's gonna be a podcast about nothing again. This
I
is
swear to
great.
God, it's like the Seinfeld of podcasts.
It's
Um,
so good.
so for those of you out there who are beef jerky enthusiasts and you're looking for a beef jerky, I highly recommend Tillamook. So Tillamook has no sugar added. It's like just cured beef, and it's the only beef jerky I've found where the second ingredient isn't sugar.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because I know the big brain in like I don't know if like CrossFit's the right thing, but like the was it Epic bars that make like basically the meat bars and the meat. It's all just meat in various forms.
Yep.
Um, so I don't know if that's like a similar thing. I haven't looked at ingredients lists. Um,
Ever?
well, because mostly I try to keep things not on a plate, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there you go.
But
Or in a
no,
car.
but I don't eat beef jerky very often, so I haven't held an Epic bar in my hand. I don't think ever.
Mm,
So I haven't like actually turned it over to look at it.
mm.
But
Well, okay. So all of that aside, we nice little sidebar. So our our topic for the day, full disclosure, I didn't come up with this topic. I saw it on the internet, and I thought it was a
phenomenal.
really um, good, kind of thought provoking question, especially for a bunch of nerds like us.
Mm,
So the question was, if you wanted to increase your fitness, who would you hire? Matt Fraser or Greg Glassman?
Ooh. So I'm hiring them to coach me. Like
Yes. Who would you hire as your coach?
you are my personal coach.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great question.
Right?
And there's a lot in this. Like we could get real nerdy about like,
It was a
who
perfect
who would
topic for
who would
us.
you, if you oh my gosh. Because if we're going just like based on, again, if you're going like purely results,
Mhm.
I just want the results that I want. If my goal is like just general fitness and no nonsense, I don't think either of them would like have any nonsense or fluff about them. Neither of them seem like, again, I don't know if you know either of these men personally. I don't know them personally.
I've
Um,
never met either of them.
okay, fantastic. Um, so I don't imagine, just based on kind of what I've seen again through the interwebs, that they would have any kind of nonsense or fluff involved in their approach. For me, if my goal was kind of more general fitness, like I want CrossFit in the purest sense of the methodology, I think Glassman is the answer, 100%. As the founder, he understands the methodology inside and out. How could he not? He created it. So I think that would be the easy answer for me. If my goal was, you know, I enjoy CrossFit, I'd like to compete, whether that's I want to bump up my open placing or like, hey, I'm making a run at the CrossFit games. Like Matt Fraser is your easy answer. Like when it comes to competing in CrossFit, you'd be very hard to argue that anyone has done it better, which
Mhm.
that could be an interesting podcast as well. But I
Tia.
right. Ooh, um, yeah, I still listen. All right, I'm gonna just come out and say it.
Go
Rich
ahead.
Froning is the greatest CrossFit athlete of all time. Rich is the best.
Really?
I really, and I don't get me fired up because I'll go.
Okay, no,
Um,
let's set this aside for another time. We'll have to
oh,
come back to
don't get me
this.
all fired up. We're gonna have to come back to it because I have an argument that it's
Okay.
bulletproof and you will not win. Um,
Okay.
but I think like if I'm trying to increase my odds of competing in CrossFit, then Matt Fraser is the person I would hire because he knows the deal. He knows the competitive environment. That's his area of expertise. But I mean, we've talked about how when anyone tries to implement CrossFit, it's their interpretation of what Greg created.
Mhm.
So, when he was at CrossFit Santa Cruz and people are like learning to coach and like, I'm going to go open my own gym, they're taking what Greg has done and putting their own twists and biases and their own kind of flavor and proprietary blend into that. And so it kind of like the CrossFit methodology kind of evolves from gym to gym based on your experience and the way you think about it. But if I was looking for, you know, again, the competitive thing, I'd go Matt. If I wanted just, hey, I'm looking to be generally fit and I want CrossFit in the purest form of the methodology, then I would go with Greg.
And I think the way you began that sentence, if I want this, I go with this. If I want that, I go with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that so if we go back to the original premise, if I want to, if my goal is to increase my fitness, who do I hire?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would seem logical, given everything that we've discussed, that we would pick, or one of us would pick, a Greg rather than a
No, I'd,
Matt.
I'd, I'd pick Greg. So if we're going, so to answer your question, because like I'm going to kind of like split this in a little bit of nuance.
Yeah, yeah.
You said if I'm looking to increase my fitness,
Yep.
the way you phrase that, just like fitness, meaning like a physiological adaptation of, if we're talking like, wave two adaptation type thing, where you're actually like increasing your ability to do these things, then Greg is the choice. The thing with competitive CrossFit, there's an argument that like you're not getting fitter, you're getting better at the sport. You're learning
Mm,
to cut down transitions. Not that people that compete in CrossFit aren't fit. That's
of
not what I'm
course.
saying.
Of course.
Um, they're obviously very, very fit, but there's a limit to like, okay, here's how much capacity a human can have, and then the rest of it comes down to just efficiency of transitions and
Mm,
technique and movement, trying to like shave milliseconds off of things.
yeah.
And that's an art in itself,
Sure.
that to show up those transitions. But if you're like, hey, I just want to be as fit as I possibly can, like have as much capacity as I can, so I can then go use it in all our other things, for me to try and like go for, playing soccer competitively, for you to just be the tallest, fittest, most handsomest son of a gun the world's ever seen, then I do think Greg is the easy answer. He's going to like know how to manipulate all the things physiologically needed to increase your capacity,
Right.
but he's probably not super concerned with at what level are your rower foot straps tightened so that you can like get in and out half a second faster. He's like, I don't give a fuck about that row quicker.
Yeah.
So I think to answer your question, like I would pick Greg if
Right.
it was, me right now in this moment. Greg is the person that I would hire to make me fitter.
Hmm. It's an interesting thing to think about, and the person who I saw post this, they were very clear. They're like, "This isn't. I'm not trying to bait anybody. This isn't a trick question. It's I genuinely want to kind of like take the pulse of the community."
Mm-hmm.
And so, to play devil's advocate,
Mm-hmm.
could it be argued that in pursuing the sport of fitness at its highest level and being successful at doing so, Matt Fraser has garnered an education and an understanding that might make him equal to or superior to Greg Glassman? And here's why I say that, right? Old school CrossFit, one of the assertions was we train for the best and scale for the rest, the tip of the spear, right? I can write a program for Navy SEALs and scale it down to my grandmother. I cannot write a program for my grandmother and scale it up to Navy SEALs. Okay. So I'm using Greg's own words against hypothetical Greg in this situation. I don't know that I believe it, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out that someone would make the argument that in being as dominant as he has been at the sport of CrossFit, he has garnered enough education and understanding to know how to take an average person and make them tremendously fit. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
I mean, that's such a great question. In his time competing in the sport and the people that he had been around, has he garnered enough education to understand the methodology to a point where he can make someone who's not the fittest fitter?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I believe so, because we've talked about this before, that CrossFit is such an effective methodology that even implemented poorly, it works.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a potent stimulus.
Sure.
So even if you're programming the worst combination of movements and workouts, and hey, we've been below parallel 14 days in a row and your knees and hips are fucked,
Sure.
you're going to be fitter than you were prior, because that's how effective CrossFit is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, in my mind, I don't think that's a valid argument for like, of course Matt can make someone fitter. Well, sure, I take, you know, anyone that's gotten their level one can go and this could be a whole nother topic, but anyone who's gotten to level one can just go open an affiliate and they will
Right.
make people fitter.
Right.
Is it effective? Is it optimal? Is it, the best way to go about it?
I think those are three different questions.
Well, yes, but, um,
God damn
um, but yeah, I don't think there's anyone in the CrossFit space that is aware of Matt Fraser that would think, no, he wouldn't be able to make someone fitter. Like if you
Sure.
gave Matt Fraser someone, say, hey, here's Kevin as he currently is. You have 3 months to make him fitter. I'm sure that if I trained with Matt Fraser for 3 months, I would come out the other end fitter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I don't think you can argue that. I think he'd be capable to do that. Like, but I don't think that in his like his entire everything. I mean, and Matt has said this. He like, he went back on his words of like in a documentary. He was like, "I know I don't want to coach." Well, joke's on you, buddy. Guess what
Right.
you're doing?
Right.
Yeah. So
I don't see myself
but
writing programming for people. Uh-huh.
yeah, and I mean, in full disclosure, he was like, "I know that I don't want to coach. I don't want to own an affiliate. I don't want to do that." But then he was like, "But also, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years and where life's going to happen. So I'm just here for the ride."
Word.
But in the moment, he definitely like that wasn't where his head was at. So, but he came into CrossFit with the intent of competing.
Yeah.
In 2014, he said this in one of his few videos. I can't remember if it was a CrossFit video or like one of the Nutriforce did like a documentary series on him or something.
That was such a great series.
It was an amazing series. So good. But he said in there, like, I started doing CrossFit in 2014 after he finished his weightlifting career, and he got into it because he learned that like you can compete and make money.
Yeah.
And when he started doing it, he was like, I'm kind of good at this. And so I started making money. Let's keep it going. And then you saw where it went as he,
Yeah.
then just big dicked on people for 5 years. But it's like his entire experience with CrossFit, motivation for CrossFit, even now, like his whole thing, he's not running an affiliate to help your, you know, average Joes and average Janes get fitter. He's got a barn gym, for lack of a better term, a garage gym where he trains a handful of elite competitors to compete at the CrossFit Games.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, none of his athletes are shy of the CrossFit Games. Everyone that he's taken on is a like kind of like established games athlete. He's not taking someone from like the upper echelons of quarterfinals and being like, let's develop you into a games athlete. He's like, you're a games athlete. Let me help you win type
Yeah.
thing.
Which we can sidebar because there's a shit ton of drama inside of that argument. Like if you know the history of so I want to get to that. So let's
Okay.
close out your point. I think you're right.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think a lot of this comes down to how do you define fitness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to get fit, cool. What does fit mean, right? If fit means you want to be executing at high level CrossFit, in a competition standpoint, you probably should call Fraser. If fit means you want to be as capable as possible in a manner that sets you up for the future, like, not just the next 3 months, but the next 3 years and then the next 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
Glassman is probably your guy.
Yeah, I would 100% agree.
Because he's going to be uncompromising on that long-term view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. He's also probably going to be very uncompromising on like your movement. Like, hey, I could give two fucks about you snatching this amount of weight. If it's not pretty, if it's not perfect,
Yeah.
we're taking weight off your bar. Like he would be very uncompromising in that, which is definitely tough. If you're doing that one-on-one, bit easier. It's tough to do like across, class of 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
It's tougher to try and like stay that firm on everybody. Someone's gonna do something stupid eventually at some point.
Did you see that the professional coach bit from Nicole Carroll where she was talking about the early days at CrossFit Santa Cruz and how she got picked to be a coach?
I think I saw that it existed. I didn't read it.
You should read it.
I should.
All coaches should read it. And people who are interested in real CrossFit. And I say that, and I think I can say that accurately and without judgment because it's now 20 years. We're 20 years into the experiment. CrossFit as a pool is big enough. There are people doing stuff in affiliates that does not look at all like what was being practiced in the early part of CrossFit, for better or for worse. And Nicole Carroll talks about like the standard that those early coaches held themselves to, and not just in their classes, but with their own movement quality. That we talk about that video, Nasty Girls. That's a great example. All three of those women are moving immaculately.
Yep.
And
fast.
And at an intensity level
that
would make a lot of dudes blush. not to be sexist, but I mean,
It'd make me cry.
right. Me too. And um, and she writes, she's like, the standard was so high, and people were not shy about calling each other out in their execution as coaches.
hmm
She said it was so high that even now, when she observes an athlete moving, and she observes that athlete moving with substandard movement quality, the
hmm
first question in her mind and out of her mouth is, "Who is your coach?"
Oh, I think I've heard you talk about this on one
Yeah.
of your many podcasts. I
Well,
remember you saying, yeah,
well,
who is your coach?
that terrifies me.
Yeah.
And if you give a shit who Nicole Carroll is, that should terrify any other coach as well.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. I
Um,
mean, well, it's the same thing as, if I mean, I've had this, you have someone come, drop into your gym.
mhm.
And I've been fortunate enough where the gyms that I've worked at, I mean, we've talked about this with CrossFit Nation. I'm now
Yeah.
at CrossFit Tilt. I've been at places that do hold a very high standard
Mhm.
in their coaching, their movement, their, the quality of things and everything like that, where like you have someone drop in from some gym somewhere in the world and they drop in and you're just like, good God.
Yeah.
Like either you've been doing CrossFit for 2 days or somehow you learned how to do a clean and jerk in 7 different, you know, movements instead of like, shoulder overhead. I'd
Right.
like, you watch someone do a movement, they do an air squat and it looks like my front rack fold in half. Um, and you're just like, wow, the old folding lawn chair. Brilliant. And,
Apparently.
like sometimes, I usually, if someone's dropping in, you check in with that person, like, hey, any injuries, limitations? Sometimes they're like, yep, we have some members here. They're like, I've had knees replaced. I just,
Yeah.
I can't get my knees to bend beyond a certain thing without it being
Mhm.
not comfy. I'm like,
Mhm.
cool, we'll get to the most range of motion you can and we'll roll with it. Like certain scenarios like that, great. For most people, you can get yourself down there in some way, shape, or form. And then you watch some people move as they come in, dropping in front of the gym. You're like, wow, where are you coming from?
Yeah.
Like it,
Yeah.
uh, it is, or vice versa. You have your members are traveling, they drop into a gym in Neverland,
Mhm.
they come back and they go, oh my God, I took class over here.
Mhm.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Mhm.
It's same sort of idea, but without the being terrified of Nicole Carroll is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
main thing there.
Yeah. Be terrified of Nicole Carroll, which is
Yeah.
and really like don't, because everything I've ever heard is like she is the sweetest human being in the world.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's similar to like Denise. She's the sweetest human being.
Yeah.
She loves the Philadelphia Eagles for some reason, but she's
Yeah.
so incredible, an amazing human being. But dear Christ, like what, like in the 10-minute, like in just the 5-minute conversations where she's like giving me feedback or like
Yep.
just really fired up about something, I'm like, I'm terrified. I would, if she told me to jump, I'd ask how high. If she said
Mhm.
jump in front of a bus, yes, ma'am. And like,
Mhm.
you know, um, I'm sure it's a similar type of feeling there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never met Nicole Carroll, but I'm assuming a similar sort of vibe to it, where it's like you're incredible until you're like, all right, it's game time,
Yeah.
and then I poop a little bit.
I just learned a lot about you in a very short period of time, Kev.
Yeah,
We're all about opening up over here.
yeah, safe space.
Safe space. All right, so let's go back to this this Matt Fraser thing.
Mm,
So the assertion was he's not he's not dealing with any rookies, for example.
nope.
Like there's nobody that I know of, I could be wrong. There's nobody on his team who hasn't already appeared at the games. Um which is saying something, cuz his fucking team is stacked.
Stacked.
Stacked. It's
Yeah, like
essentially everybody who was at comp train.
it. Well, so that's a whole nother drama in its in
That is a whole
itself.
nother drama in
That's a
itself.
whole nother drama in itself. Um, but yeah, like I mean, he literally has assembled the A team.
Yeah.
If you look at, or the A team has assembled around him, however you want to look at it, the A team has formed. You have arguably the most, if we're leaving Tia aside, the most dominant male CrossFit athlete, individual CrossFit athlete
Yes.
to ever do it,
Yes.
is now leading a group of established and heavy hitting games athletes. It's not like he's
Yes.
like, oh, you took 40th at the games, or in the year of what the fuck, you took 178th at the games type thing. He's taken top 10 heavy hitters only type thing.
Let's look at this up. Let's look this up really quick.
So can I guess? I have like the list of athletes. Do you have it up?
I'm pulling it up.
Okay, once you have it up, let me know, and I'm gonna like list some names. Let me know if I miss anybody, but I
Okay.
have some.
All right,
You
ready?
ready? Okay, so we got Katrin Davis' daughter,
Yep.
Amanda Barnhart,
Uh-huh.
Mal O'Brien,
Uh-huh.
Jason Hopper.
Is Hopper in here? Hopper is not in the article I'm reading, but the article I'm reading is from September.
Yes. I'm 92% sure, like 87.5% sure that he's part of that group.
Yep.
Sam Quant.
Yep.
I think that's it. I think it's just those five. Jake
Hopper
Marconi.
is in it.
Okay, haha.
And Thor
I don't know if
Helgadottir.
Jake. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was one I didn't know. And I know that Jake Marconi, like, I don't know if he's like athlete, coach, coach, athlete, athlete, coach, athlete, coffee boy. I'm not sure where he falls into that thing, but I know Jake Marconi does something, and he also does the fitness or he did do the fitness at some point. I just don't know if he is a current athlete or he was an athlete and then is now working more on the coaching side.
His official title is Director of Coaching at HWPO.
Okay, so he is now moved into a coaching role, but he's over there. You've got Harry Paley is now running the program and show. Sammy Moniz provides the snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Matt O'Keefe provides the vibes. Matt Fraser provides the chest hair.
Yes.
And we roll, and that's the team. As far as I know, if I miss anybody like in the staff, I could be wrong. I don't know if they have someone that does the social medias, but
I'm sure they have someone who does social media and crap like
probably
that.
get Mal O'Brien because she's young enough to do the social medias.
I think Mal O'Brien is too busy being a fucking savage to do anything like that.
Probably. I mean, like I'm assuming whenever I picture like, okay, here's what a training session at the Hard Work Pays Off garage is like. They all get together. Okay, guys, let's warm up.
Yeah.
They do a warm up. Matt instructs the thing. He's like, hey, do better.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I don't want to disappoint Matt, so I'll do better. They crush themselves on some intervals because most competitive athletes and programs will provide monostructural stuff first. Gets the heart rate going. It's a little bit lower intensity, so it's not quite a shock to the system first thing in the morning. Loosen things up, all the rest. As soon as they're done, I just imagine Sammy rolling a wheelbarrow of rice into the barn and shoveling it into their mouths where they're sitting in a Normatec. And then after a little bit, session number 2, let's smash some barbells and shit. Now they do all the lifting. Sammy brings in a wheelbarrow of like chicken,
right?
Shovels it into them while they're in the Normatex, and then afternoon session. And then that's how I imagine a day at the Hard Work Pays Off compound goes. I could be right or wrong.
Maybe it's probably mixed with both. So of the 6 people who are here, Mal O'Brien, Jay Hopper, Thuri Helgadottir, Katrin, Amanda, and Sam.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Half of that team, more than half if you include Matt himself, were comp train athletes.
Yeah, I would include Matt because he was for, what was it, 2 or 3 years he worked with Ben? I think it was 16, 17 season maybe.
No, it was
15, 16 season.
I think it was 15, 16 season.
Okay, I knew it was 2 seasons in there.
It was the 2 years that Katrin won.
Okay, so 15, 16. Got it.
And
well, so you had those are the comp train athletes. Did you count Harry in that?
I didn't. Well, so and then there's for those people who don't know, Harry Pally used to work at CFNE / comp train, and now is over there as well. Did I see Chandler Smith post something about, or was he just there?
So I feel like just from what I see on Instagram, first of all, so now that Dave Castro is back to posting his hints,
I
which
saw
is
that.
which is incredible. If you aren't aware or you weren't around CrossFit when Dave was posting hints all the time, like
Yep.
I think he took a 2-year break from posting the hints, or like he didn't do it last year.
Mhm.
Um, if you haven't seen those hints and then gone into the comments to find Chandler Smith's guesses, they're hysterical.
Yes.
Incredible. Like, highly recommend, just for his comment and his guess, go into the comment section of Dave's post for his hints for the open workouts. Incredible.
Yes.
But I think Chandler just kind of like, he just goes with the flow type thing. If there's some
Mhm.
fitness going on over here, I'll fly over there and do some fitness over here. If there's some fitness going on over there, I'll fly over there and do some fitness over there. I know for a while he was a misfit athlete,
Was
kind
he
of like
really?
more remote. He was for a little bit. He was, and he broke away from that group shortly after. I believe it was with Travis Williams and Jessica Griffith. Like, there was a
Oh,
text
yeah,
thread that
that
came
whole
out where
thing.
they're like yep, the whole deal. You know where I'm going with it.
Yep.
So during that whole thing, he split from that group.
Well, I mean, everybody
And
split from Jess Griffiths there at that time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't she down at Mayhem now? I'm like,
I
not again. I'm 87.27% sure that she's down there now.
so
Anyways,
I she might be down at Mayhem. I don't know. Like she took some time off.
no,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So I
Um,
don't know where she is right now.
okay. Well, anyways, Chandler, like, he was a misfit dude for a while
Yeah.
and was doing all their stuff, but like remotely, because he was in the military. So
Yeah.
he was kind of like doing his thing.
Yeah.
And then once he kind of separated from that group, he just kind of bounced around a little bit, do some fitness over here, do some fitness over there,
Mm.
whatever. Joined up as a comp train athlete
Mm-hmm.
at some point in the past 2 years,
Couple
maybe
years.
like year and a half, 2 years. He
Yeah.
joined up with them, and they had a bit of a training camp over there for the last game season.
Yeah.
And then everybody has since gone to Hard Work Pays Off. I really thought, because Chandler seems like, he does a lot of team stuff, like off season, like Wadapalooza stuff with like Noah Olson and like the training think tank crew. I figured he would end up doing that, like, going down to the think tank.
Right. Down in
Um,
Georgia.
yeah, but as far as I know, Chandler is still at CrossFit New England.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting.
how long that lasts, I don't know, but
Well, and
mm,
what a arc the comp train / Ben Bergeron thing has been. You
quite a
know,
saga.
it is quite the saga. And now to see, now to see so many of those athletes leaving comp train, going to
Mhm.
HWPO. I mean, except for a handful of like young individual athletes and teens athletes, I if Chandler's still there, he's the only name that
Oh,
I
yeah.
that I know that's left
Yeah,
over there.
he and his, I don't know if they're married yet, but he and his girlfriend, fiance, wife, partner, friend,
Certainly
uh,
fiance, if not married.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jesse, who, like, she is semifinals athlete, but she's not like a games athlete name yet.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the two of them, if they're still there, are the only like recognizable names that are still there.
Right.
100%.
Right. Interesting things to think about. There's got to be
So
some
many.
stuff baked into that.
I'm sure there is
Yeah.
some stuff baked into that,
Yeah.
for sure.
I wonder if Katrin is going to pull Annie into that HWPO team.
Ooh.
Right.
I yeah, because Katrin left comp train and went and trained with
Yeah.
Annie and the crew over in
Iceland.
Iceland
Yeah.
for the last season,
At least the last season.
and then flew her ass back to Vermont
Yeah.
to train in Matt's garage, um, for this coming season. And then Annie just announced that she's going to give individual a go again after doing a team with Reykjavik.
Yeah.
And so fun, like, I'll be very interested to see how this team goes now that Rich has decided to just go big dick on the Masters group.
Yeah.
Um, that's going to be amazing. But I know that, like, interesting team here. So we have, if you're a fan of competitive CrossFit, Tim Paulson, individual athlete from New York, the most Viking looking dude
He
in
really is.
the world. He is a Viking.
He's got a mane of hair.
Yeah, he's massive. Like, so there are CrossFit athletes that are like, you look at Rich, he's jacked. You look at Dan Bailey, best biceps and calves in the game.
Yoked.
You look at James Hobart, most beautiful man on earth. Whatever it is, all these athletes, they're muscular, they're jacked, the whole thing.
Yeah.
When I was at Wadapalooza in 2020, it was like February 2020, so right before the world shut down. We all went down to Miami to have one last go.
Sure, sure.
Um, and I remember walking past Tim, and like I had, followed him on Instagram, knew that he's a big dude. I walked past him, like, there's one thing to be tall, because like Brent Fikowski's tall, but he's got a little, like, he's a leaner
He's lean.
frame. You
Yeah.
got people that are a little bit like shorter and stockier. Tim was thick with like 7 extra C's. Like, this was just a big dude. And I was like, oh my, it was like a fridge with a man bun and a beard, just like
Right.
walked past. I was like, oh my God. Like, you look at these athletes, they're incredible things. Tim was just big. Anyways,
If Thor Bjornsson was a CrossFitter.
yes. But so Tim, who's been an individual athlete, this is his last competitive season. He's doing a team deal. He's going team, baby. And so he has teamed up with the most offensively strong CrossFitter on the planet, Tola Morquinho.
Tola's a unit.
He's the most offensively strong. He snatches once every 2 years and will still snatch 350. It's the most offensive thing in the entire world.
It's so cool to watch, though.
It is. He's an incredible athlete. So Tim and Tola have teamed up with the 2 ladies from Mayhem last year, Andrea Niesler and
Tasia?
And no, Tasia had retired a little bit. It's another, I can't remember her name. They were both blonde. I can see her face. Fudge.
Give me a second. Internet will tell me.
Okay. Because I can see her face. I'm screwing it up. It's Andrea Niesler and whoever the other Mayhem lady was last year. Come on, internet. Don't let us down.
Hang on. So I gotta do it like this. Tola Morquinho. There we go.
I'll say best luck spelling that.
It's gonna be Nisler, Williamson, Paulson, and Morquinho.
There we go. So those 4 are making a team, and there is no Rich and Friends. And I know that Mayhem is probably going to produce some teams, because they do how they do.
What they do.
It's what they do. They just crank out teams that will always be competitive at the games. But some interesting stuff. There's an athlete that her name is Kyra, and she works with like the Underdogs team with Justin Kotler out in Vegas. And she's joining up a team with Mayhem. So I don't know if that's like a shifting in, like if she's traded camps, or if she's just like, I'm just going to hop on this team over here and do the damn thing. But like that team of 4 is going to, like, whatever the weightlifting event is, everyone else is just going for second. It doesn't matter.
Shit.
It's Well, I mean, was it like during the team competition last year at the games, right? Like Reykjavik is going through, and I think each athlete, you had like 1 male and 1 female that clean and jerked for load, and 1 male and 1 female that snatched for load. And you had 3 attempts each. Tola took his first attempt and didn't take the 2 or 3 because he had already snatched 340 and no one was going to catch him. It's like he had already and so they won the weightlifting event because Tola on his first attempt out snatched everybody. It was stupid. Wow. So best of luck to everyone on the team event at the CrossFit Games this year. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be amazing for sure. But whether, I think it would be really interesting to see Katrin and Annie on a team. And I mean, I don't even know if the 2 of them need 2 male athletes. They can just, do it on their team of 2, wrecking it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, between the 2 of them, I don't know who's the heavier hitter in terms of weightlifting.
Annie.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Katrin's thing seems to be conditioning.
Yeah, she's more conditionings and like a bit of gymnastics. Annie tends to be a little bit better with a barbell.
Yeah.
Not that Katrin's not good with a barbell, but like
it's just different.
Relative, yeah.
Yeah. So, pairing a couple dudes with them Bjorkman, BKG seems like a no-brainer, right? Um, to be the palest CrossFit team ever.
They
we
just got to add me in there. As
Yeah,
you know,
right.
we're
And then of course the cup would be clinched. Okay, well we typically try to do a 40-minute AMRAP, and we've
we're
definitely hit 40
fully
minutes.
fully went off the rails.
That's okay.
It's okay. I feel like you had something you wanted to say about, because we got onto a tangent about, like, Fraser's got the competitive, whatever about him, experience, and
Mhm.
he got the competitive angle of it. And then we got into how many people did he steal from CompTrain. And I feel like you had something you were going to say about, like, him coaching that way and kind of like tying it together with our question. But then we fully just went off on, like, who's
Right.
competing at the games and how thick is Tim Paulson and who's
I
got better calves, James Hobart or Dan Bailey.
That's a really hard one. Also, I got complimented on my calves recently, and
Wow.
yeah,
There we
right.
go.
Yeah, I was as a
Doesn't
guy.
happen often for the tall folks.
It really doesn't, and like so. My joke was like anyone who tries to do something with their physique, calves are always a pain in the ass. That's the running joke in the bodybuilding
Yeah.
community. Um, and so to have calves and not have specifically worked at that, I was holding my head high there for a day or so.
There you
Um,
go. Just wearing extra short shorts. Show those puppies off.
I gotta.
Pulling your joggers up like capris.
Yes.
That's the pro fashion move right there. Peak fall.
Yeah.
You got your joggers on while you're coaching. Time to work out. Hike those babies up to like knee
Mid
level.
shin socks.
Oh yeah, let's get it.
Heck yes. See, yeah, this is why we work out together. No, I mean, as far as Fraser or Glassman, I think a lot of it comes down to what your goals are. I think
Mhm.
Matt's not an idiot. He's obviously very smart. He's got an
Oh,
engineer's mind.
absolutely. Yep.
And I think what gives me the confidence to pick to pick Glassman over Fraser is the fact that Glassman spent years and years and years training clients and developing this methodology.
hmm
And Matt has figured out a bunch of things that work for him. I don't know that he's figured out a bunch of things that work for everybody else,
hmm
Whereas I can make that assertion with a Glassman. Um,
I think that's a great point.
yeah, and
hmm
and that's not to say that Matt couldn't. Um, he just hasn't been around as long, in the
Yeah.
sense that you know, and going back to everything else that we were talking about, like I once heard Pat Barber on the Old School CrossFit podcast talk about the difference between the games and training is like the adaptation that is garnered from an event inside of the games is minimal compared to other training stimulus. Like that's not its purpose. And so I think we can say confidently that if Fraser was to design a program built around his experience at the games, that would be a suboptimal experience for someone who is looking to increase their fitness, defined as
hmm
work capacity across broad time modal domains. And so, not that he couldn't, but he just hasn't. And um, for that reason alone, I'd pick a Glassman, and also because I don't want to admit it, but Glassman's going to tell me all the things that I don't want to hear, but need to
hmm
hear, and I just have this feeling.
Yeah. I 100 like it's. I mean, I don't think it's lost on the CrossFit community that he doesn't have a filter
Yeah,
for, like, in multiple instances,
yeah,
right? Like, not just the thing that the poor choice to that basically ended with his exile from the
mm-hmm.
company.
Mm-hmm.
But just across the years and the decades where he was the owner and operator of CrossFit HQ, just 0% of a filter.
Yeah,
Like, he just, whatever he has on his mind, however he feels, he's going to express that without much reservation for anything else, or how it's just like, this is just how it is.
yeah,
So I think, like, taking that down to a one-on-one coaching level, exactly like you said, if you had something that wasn't exactly right or something he wanted you to do better or that you could do better, like he would have no problem being like, Sam, this is the problem and here's how we're going to fix it,
Yeah.
type thing, you know?
Have you ever heard him describe like so there's a great podcast. It's the Two Brain Business Podcast, but
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
so it's good for a bunch of things, but specifically he sat down and he did like an unbroken 90-minute free flow discussion with Greg Glassman. And
Wow.
it's I've listened to that podcast maybe more than anything else because like Greg Glassman talks in a way that he assumes that you are following him. He assumes that you understand what he is talking about and at the level he is talking about it.
Yeah.
And you don't. Most
Nope.
people don't. And so I've had to go back and like re-listen to it, like specific segments, and be like, holy shit, he's right. And one of the things that he talks about is positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement when it comes to coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his view is, so his contention is there are people who say you should only ever provide positive encouragement to an athlete, right? Good job, try this again, right? And
Mm-hmm.
his response, I shit you not, almost verbatim is, wait, let me think about that. No, fuck that. That's stupid. Because at some point, what you're trying to do is take out the non-perfect portions of a movement. And you
Mm-hmm.
could talk to your blue in the face, but at some point, you're gonna have an athlete and you're gonna say, okay, Kevin, the next time you go up to do this, do something different. Do something fucking different because whatever you're doing isn't getting it to what I need you to do, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, sometimes you're going to ask the athlete to do a thing that
Mm-hmm.
you can't, you are sure and they're sure that they can't do, but it's going to actually get them in the direction of what they need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
The example he gives is initiating a spin on a dismount from the rings, which if you yeah, exactly. If you've not done competitive gymnastics, like that took me a couple listens,
Yeah.
but I can see his point,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be effective. It's maybe not the hot take for everybody, like not everyone's going to appreciate it, but I can certainly see it being effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, now we've added 7 minutes to this whole thing.
It's okay.
Final thoughts, questions, concerns about Mr. Glassman versus Mr. Fraser?
No, I think we covered pretty much. I mean, we answered the question. I think
Mm-hmm.
we both would pick Glassman for
Mm-hmm.
pretty similar reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, not to discount Matt as a coach or
At
say that
all.
he's a bad coach,
No.
because I think if, again, given time and more experience in programming just for like regular people, I think he'd figured out he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
And the way engineers' minds think is that, it's just problem solving. So it's like, hey, what's the problem? How can I fix it?
Yeah.
He'd be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think from like an experience standpoint, for our goal standpoint, like Glassman's the choice
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
But
Seems reasonable.
yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for playing along with us at home. Kevin will follow up with you next week after 23.2.
I say,
Oh,
that's what I was gonna
it
say.
got
Any
released.
any guesses? Oh, wait,
Oh,
did it get
it's 3
released?
o'clock right now.
Oh my gosh. Wait. I'm gonna guess. Did you pull it up?
I'm pulling it up.
Okay. I have a guess.
Uh-huh.
Are you looking at it?
Hang on.
I'll say so you can tell me if I'm very, very wrong or very, very right.
They haven't updated it yet. Let me check the Instagram.
Ooh, the Instagrams.
Instagram.com/SfitGames. Bup. What? No. So there should be announcing it live right now.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm not gonna go watch the live feed, but it's not on the. Here, let's do this.
Oh,
If I
that's
pick
dumb.
this, see if I can con it into. Sometimes people do stupid things. So the page is prepped, but
Okay. So
they haven't
do you
launched it.
have? Okay. So if they haven't launched it yet, do you have a guess?
Well, I was way off last week.
We all were that,
Right.
like well, because normally the pattern is relatively simple and approachable,
Mm-hmm.
like still relatively approachable but disgusting,
Yeah.
and then high skill / heavier load. And that's kind of been the pattern for the opens the entire time, for all opens past, present, and future, or at least so I thought. So I was like, okay, this one should be relatively approachable, relatively simple, and like you can make it, it's going to be as bad as you want to make it type thing. And then Boz said, fuck you and your feelings. We're going to do muscle ups on week 1. And I was like, ooh, I like that. I was like, I kind of liked it a little bit. So I think just any pattern that people can think about is just kind of chucked out the window. It's just, I think they'll still be great and varied tests. 'Cause I mean, Boz is an OG and he knows the methodology and understands it and does the whole thing. So I think they'll be well balanced and varied tests across the 3 weeks. But I think just the patterns that we had come to know from Dave no longer apply.
My guess is heavy thrusters and handstand push-ups.
Who hurt you? God, don't ever let this guy program the open. Jesus.
I've got this feeling that like thrusters are too effective to not program, right? Like,
well, I think thrusters will show up in the open at some point. They always do. I don't think you can do an open without thrusters. I think it would just feel wrong.
Well, so chest to bars, for example, have been a thing that get programmed pretty regularly. And you know, after throwing in a ring muscle up in workout one, like who the hell knows? I'm trying to, like, if I was gonna fuck some people up, I would do like 30, 20, 10 or something, thrusters at 135.
I was gonna say 135, 95.
Oh,
155. Push-ups? Fuck you. No. One thing. No.
I don't know. How many people do you want to mess up?
I mean, the thing is, like with the 135, I feel like if you did like a similar rep scheme to like that thruster burpee one, the 21 down to 3x3s of thrusters at 95 and handstand push-ups, way more people get fucked up because at 135, there's very few athletes that can like go fast with that. It's like, yeah, it's heavy and it's hard, but I'm doing clusters by 5 reps in type thing. So I feel like if you're like really wanting to mess someone up, I mean, could you imagine the amount if you did 21 down to 3 of thrusters at 75, 55 and handstand push-ups, all gas pedal, homie, all gas pedal, no brakes. I will say a couple of good, like, so Colin came up with a workout. This is amazing.
I love how we tried to end this podcast 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, because now we're gonna be able to see the open workout. We got to keep. I want a live reaction. So Colin came up with one, and I have one as well. Like, just these would be great open workouts. So I said 21 down to 3 of dumbbell thrusters and chest to bars. Fuck you and your feelings. Colin came up with one. He said 15-minute AMRAP.
Okay.
1 wall walk, 5 wall balls. Ooh. Add 1 wall walk and 5 wall balls each round.
Ooh.
So the next round would be 2 and 10, 3, 15, 4 and 20, up for 50. I was like, oh. Again, who hurt you?
Someone just sent me the workout.
Is it up? Do you have it?
Yes.
Wait. Okay. So you just heard Sam's reaction. I can't tell if that's excited or fear or both.
A little bit of both.
So I have just a question because I'm gonna just as a clip. Is it a repeat?
Not at all.
Again. No. Okay. Not at all.
Brand new.
Brand fucking new. Okay. I'm gonna guess movements.
Okay.
Triplet.
Yes.
Okay. Burpee box jump over.
No.
God damn it. All right. Well, I'm already there went my guess. Does it involve double unders and dumbbell snatches?
Nope.
Really?
Yeah, really.
What fucking movements did he program? Handstand walk and burpee backflips? What the fuck?
It's okay.
All right, hit me. Yeah, hit me.
23.2 is a 2-parter.
Okay.
So 23.2A. AMRAP, 15 minutes, 5 burpee pull-ups, 10 shuttle runs. 1 rep of the shuttle run is a 50-foot length.
So like 50 feet down, 50 feet back?
No, it's...
Oh, it's like 25 feet down and back.
25 feet down and back.
Is 1. Okay, thank Christ.
And then
I was like 50 feet down and back would be rough for an affiliate.
Asterisk, add 5 burpee pull-ups each round.
So what is it? It was 5 burpee pull-ups,
and
10
10
shuttle
shuttle
runs,
runs. And then it becomes 10 burpee pull ups
10
and
burpee
10 shuttle.
pull-ups, shut it.
15, 10,
Oh,
right?
oh God.
Okay.
Well, so the thing is, so first of all, whoever's judging me, best of luck. You better know how to count shuttle runs because I will not. I I will lose. I'm like, which side did I start on? I don't know where I am.
I've given it up
Okay,
already.
so burpee pull-ups and shuttle runs, part 2. Hit me.
Part two,
That first part's
23.2
disgusting.
B.
Yeah, hit me.
Immediately following, you have 5 minutes to establish a 1 rep max thruster from the floor,
Ooh,
right?
okay, okay. Don't love that for me, but but that's a great. Oh man, after all those burpees, your press is going to be booty hole. It's going to be pretty
It's
bad.
it's 15 minutes of work capacity and
Oh, I'm
heaviest
like,
thruster you can. And there's no
I'm
rest. It's
like,
immediately. And you only have 5 minutes.
all right, so I'm just going to do one at 135. Done. Ah, God damn it. So right now in my head, I'm pooping a little bit because I'm like, how in the flying fuck am I going to set this up at our gym? And it's 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 a 20-minute workout, and you got to do 2 heats for class. So fuck me sideways. Um,
Ugh.
okay.
Thank
So I
God for
think
my friends who watched the open announcement.
I mean, I just looked at my phone. I have many much unread messages.
Many much.
One of them is from Colin. So let's see. Got to tape the floor. Yes, good observation. Shit.
Yes.
God damn it.
Notes prior to starting the test. Blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at the workout thing now. Okay, so the way they've got it set up, yeah. So
Did they
it's a
come up with a
25 feet.
stupid? Did they come up with a stupid floor plan?
It's actually not that terrible.
Well, because I'm imagining it's just a pull-up bar has to be outside your 25 feet.
No,
You
no.
know.
So the way they have it set up is the pull-up bar can be parallel with one of the tape lines.
Okay.
Yeah. So, ooh, you know what we
Uh,
can do? You know what we
I
can
don't. I
do?
don't think that would work at our just. I'm looking at the floor here. The way our gym is set up, it's like a bit long. Well, it's like we have basically a rig on either side of the room, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like 33 feet apart. So
Yep.
you could potentially do that.
Yep.
It's just then you have like cross traffic. So
Well,
I can just see like human bumper cars happening. Oh, okay.
yeah. Can
What
you
the
can
fuck
you
is
see
the
my
oh the
screen?
oh yes. So the barbell is
Yeah.
in the middle of the floor for some reason.
Right. So the barbell can be placed anywhere, right? 25 feet down and
Mm,
back, pull-up bar. Athletes start on the far side.
mm.
So it's down and
So so
back.
so
Oh,
so you have to do a length back down to get your pull up bar.
so no, no, no. You have to run the 25 feet, burpee
Yeah,
pull-ups,
yeah,
down and back,
yeah.
burpee pull-ups, down and back, and then this. Hmm.
So,
What else
well,
do we see
because
here?
so you run down, you do your burpee pull ups. Oh, so that like you start on the other end of the line, you
Yeah.
run to your burpee pull up station because it starts at burpee pull ups. You do
Yeah.
your burpee pull ups,
Yes.
and then you do your 10 shuttle runs. So you end back at your burpee pull ups.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I am
I
already calling that a lot of people are going to fuck up the departure from the burpee pull-up into the shuttle run because they will not start behind the line.
well, I say you have to start behind the line, and on your turns, you got to get
Mm-hmm.
both feet on the other side of the line and touch the floor with one hand on the other side of the line if the standard is consistent from quarterfinals and such.
Movement standard for the burpee pull-up. Jesus, this is burpee for the scale
Is that
division.
James?
That is James. Woo,
Oh,
look at that.
his pull-up grip is real narrow there. James, what are you doing there, buddy?
He's got great mobility. What do you want?
Well, yes, but making life harder for yourself.
Each rep of the shuttle run is 50 feet, so 25 feet down and back. Each rep starts with the feet clearly behind the start line. Yeah. So I think what's going to happen
So you do have
is,
to touch the one hand.
yeah, at the turnaround, both
Well,
feet
all right. So
and
we
one
have we have
hand.
a new movement. We have a new movement into the mix. The burpee pull-up. We've seen
Yeah.
a bar facing burpee. We've seen a burpee box jump over, burpee pull-up. All right. So next
Patola.
year, next evolution is the burpee bar muscle up. Let's go.
Sure. Why not?
Those are burpee
That's my
muscle up,
favorite.
disgusting. But I would not be shocked to see, like, based on just the fact that Bob's put in a burpee pull up, like next evolution, burpee muscle up.
It does make sense.
Is
Well,
that so? Here's my question. So this could be a fun experiment for the tens of people listening as we wrap up our podcast that is now 20 minutes over our 40-minute time cap.
yes. Yes.
Fun experiment for people at home, because this has always been something that I've strongly believed in. CrossFit HQ gives you the answers to the test. If you keep an eye on .com programming, they will tell you all their secrets.
Yeah.
Everything coming up in the season, if you see something like, that's a little bit funky, odds are that shit's going to show up either in the open, quarterfinals, the games, you name it.
It's been that way.
That
for
shit's
years.
showing up. It's been that way since forever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Austin and James had said this repeatedly. If you're a competitor in CrossFit, if you compete in CrossFit and you don't keep an eye on CrossFit.com, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And I believe that wholeheartedly, because I would be willing to bet. I haven't looked at it, but I'd be willing to bet if you go into CrossFit.com and take a snapshot of the past 2 months, 3 months, maybe, there are burpee pull-ups in there. I could almost guarantee it.
We'll do a little
You
test.
know? Okay.
Present
the internet.
Share screen. Boom. And we'll do Brave tab. Which one? We'll do this one. Share. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so we're going to go... So we're going to go right to CrossFit.com. Workouts. Search WODs. Get up. Dip. And then burpees, 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 burpees. Burpee pull-ups.
There it is.
Yep.
Boom. Thursday,
Dumbbell
was that
snatch.
January 17th. There it is. Look at that, burpee pull-ups. Fun stuff. They probably had a shuttle run in there too, somewhere.
Ooh.
Probably not in the same workout, because
Shuttle
that'd be too
run.
easy.
February
Oh, look at
1st.
that. February 1st. Boom. Look at that. It's weird. So if you enjoy competing in CrossFit, if you enjoy competing in CrossFit, even if you don't want to do the workouts, that's fine. If you think you're better than CrossFit.com, fuck you, I guess, but that's fine.
Right.
But keep an eye on the workouts. They will tell you all their secrets. They will. At every time. They will tell you their secrets.
Yes.
So fun stuff.
All right.
Fun stuff. I'm excited to do it. I'm not super excited I might just take a burpee nap for 10 minutes, and I will definitely miscount my shuttle runs, but that's okay.
Yeah. Fucking burpee pull-ups. I mean, okay, cool. Burpee pull-ups. Like, I'm set up for this. I'm not set up for 25 feet. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting.
Down your driveway and back, my guy.
Oh god, I got fucking 9 inches of snow up here. Fuck that shit.
That sounds like a you problem.
On that note. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for playing along at home. We're gonna go figure out how the heck to do this. Have fun taping the floor, by the way.
Well, I am. I have to I'm about to get on a call with Colin and be like, how the fuck do you want to set up the how? Because the thing that gets me, again, like, the rigs are like 33 feet apart, so you could set your tape lines and people just pull up either side and they can bumper car each other. Yeah. The problem is then, because the rigs take up most of like the width of the floor, so you'd like the tape would be, it's like, where the fuck do we put the barbells? So that is that's a me problem. The snow in your driveway, you problem. How do I set up the gym? Me problem. We have our problems. And off we go.
The subtitle of this entire podcast.
Just another podcast about nothing, but it's just random. Who knows where it's going to land?
Whenever you do finish taping the floor, let me know how you set it up, because I'm a geek about that stuff.
I'll send you a picture, because I'll set it up.
All right, everybody. Have fun with 23.2 A and B. Kevin, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Stay fun, everybody.